Hey, what's up everybody? Michael the Fish Keeper here with a new video for y'all. And as you can tell by the thumbnail, a lot has changed. But before I get into everything, make sure you stay tuned for further in this video because we're gonna do a full breakdown of the 225 as far as filtration, what I'm using and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. But before that, let's go ahead and get into what happened. So I've had Chong ever since he was, or she, I don't know, but we had Chong probably less than an inch. I know that, maybe even less than a half an inch, give or take. But I grew Chong up in a school with the school of Congo Tetras, never showed aggression, never bit into any of them or anything like that, even when he was chewing on snails and the tetras are swimming by him, going in front of his face and stuff like that, eating the particles from the snails as he's chewing them. He never showed any aggression or anything like that. So now, obviously moving forward, when we put him in the 225, everything was still fine. But I got the chance and the opportunity to get some fish that I've always wanted. And I knew by having Chong in this tank, it was gonna be a gamble. But before I pulled the trigger, I had to think to myself, like, okay, is this gonna be worth it? What if I get these fish, they don't get along, what's my game plan and so and so. And so what I finally thought about and came up with is that I'm not gonna pass up the opportunity to get these fish because I've always wanted them. And worst case scenario, we move Chong to a temporary holding tank, which is he's in now, and get him his own permanent tank where it'll be just him. That way we don't have no more worries, no more gambles or anything like that. And so after I moved these fish in and put them in, everything was fine at first, and then Chong showed early signs of there might be a problem. And so I went ahead and just removed him to a holding tank. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into what fish I added. So as y'all know, I've had the Congo Tetras, but you may notice the school actually got a lot smaller. I'm in the middle of removing them during water changes. I've sold off a few, kept a pair in my son's tank. He wanted to try and breed them. And so, anyhow, here we go. There they are. Got some discus. We got 2 blue turquoise and then 2 red turquoise. And we got 1 leopard skin right there. But man, look at that bad boy. That's my favorite one right there. Right there. But yeah, we added them in. Chong at first was okay with them. But like I said, he showed early signs that it might be a problem. So I just went ahead and removed them. That way he didn't mess with these discus at all. But in return, it worked out for him because he's gonna be getting his own tank. But man, look at these beauties, man. I just absolutely love them. Let me know down in the comments what y'all think. I'm actually gonna be adding 1 more blue turquoise and 1 more leopard skin. And then we're gonna look into adding other species of discus in here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and show a full tank shot here. That is the new Scape. So when Chong was in here, Chong loved the taller anubis plants. And so once he gets his own tank, we're gonna be taking these plants, this one and then these 2, or I don't know how you wanna put it, but these 2 on rocks right here, we're gonna be taking those and putting them in his tank. So this tank eventually just be this right here. And today at some point, I'm gonna be covering that whole dragon rock right there and some of these other ones with some moss and stuff, because these discus, what happens is I got snails in here, right? So baby snails, like tiny snails, will go inside the moss right there on that anubis and on that one, and they'll eat the tiny snails. So I figured add more moss, and that way it'll give them more forage of food and stuff to eat. But let's go ahead, look into this more. Still got the anubis, still got all the java ferns, still got a crypt. And it's funny because the crypts are actually supposed to be put in soil, but that's not, but it's actually thriving, so I left that one. And the one that I had to remove before is doing fine in another tank in soil. But these plants are super duper healthy. In fact, that java fern right there is growing some new ones. I know there's a couple other spots as well. Oh yeah, right there, it's growing some. and back there, so I know the plants are, you know, still getting their nutrients and everything else. But as you can also tell, me and my son had removed the gravel, and for now we're gonna leave it as bare bottom. It just helps keep it cleaner and everything else. But I noticed that there is a dead spot right here, but that is okay because we still have that FX gravel cleaner that we can hook up and just siphon that stuff out into the FX6 to help keep this tank clean. But man, so these breeding cones I put in here just to put them in there, you know what I mean? And if something were to happen, then I know that I can take out a pair, take one of those cones, I have it on hand, and separate a pair into a tank by themselves. I'm not planning on breeding them, but if it happens, it happens. But man, those discus are super duper dope. But anyhow, let me go ahead and do a full breakdown of the video. As you guys remember, we got the Fluval 48-inch to 60-inch 3.0 plant LED light up here. We started off with 2. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we started off with 2. I was still dealing with algae issues, so we actually put 1, readjusted the settings, and we have no more algae outbreaks at all. All right. And so then obviously we have the FX6, which is, I'm going to be doing video on this soon. This one, we're not going to keep no biomedia inside of it. The reason being is we're going to be putting filter pads in here. This will be the water polisher. Okay. It's just going to be mainly just to keep the water clear and clean. And then we also have the spray bar still, which is, this thing is still doing good. It moves water across the top and everything, and then pushes it this way, coming back around to help, you know, move stuff around across the plants, keep them alive and fresh. I like a little current through the tank. That way, you know, you can watch the leaves and stuff move. I love that a lot. I know the fish love it. But also, the 225 has a dual overflow. We got an outtake here and an outtake here. I might actually shorten these because I don't like them that long. I don't know why, it's bugging me, so we might actually shorten those. But let's go ahead and dig into the sump. So this is a 40-gallon sump. We've got 3 sponge filters right here. We got dual inlets or overflows going into it. We got 3 filter socks. First chamber, all I did was use polyfill just to filter or clean up the water a lot more, and as you can tell, it's doing its job. And I got to get that tiny snail out and actually feed it to Chong. And then we use the Bio FX all over right here. We got 3 boxes worth of that, so there's plenty of biomedia for this tank. We're using a Hygger heater. I forget the model, but I actually love this because once it drops down, see, it's set at 81 right now. I'm in the process of lowering the temperature, but it's at 81 right now, and as it starts dropping down, as soon as it hits 80 degrees, it'll pop right back up to 81. It heats up super duper quick. It's a 1,000-watt system. There's actually 2 heaters in this plastic chamber that heat this tank up quickly and keep it between 80 81 degrees at all times. And then we got the Fluval SP6 return pump installed, and then we have a 1-way valve going right here. That way, if the power goes out, or, you know, I stop the sump pump during feedings, and so that will water only goes up and it won't come back in. That way it doesn't flood the sump, which is, that'll be a disaster. Even though in the fish room it's all cement, stuff like that, that's, you know, still, we don't want to flood the tank. But we just got that going up to, you know, the outtake over here and going over there. I had to rig my own outlets right here from the pumps, or from the sump, I'm sorry, from the overflows. Had to rig it up because it wasn't fitting quite right like I wanted it to, but we got it working, so it worked for me and my fish, so that's fine. And then that is pretty much it for the breakdown. I keep it basic, I keep it simple. That's the way I want things to be, because we shouldn't always have to be cleaning our tanks, doing maintenance and stuff like that. We want to be able to sit down and enjoy our fish as much as possible. Now, as far as tank maintenance goes, I'm gonna be doing weekly water changes just like I normally do with all of my tanks. Discus, they get fed 3 times a day. I love these. They're so cool. But anyways, they get fed 3 times a day, variety of foods, pellet food. They got Discus, Hikari Discus Gold. They've got Hikari Vibra Bites, and then some other pellet food and stuff, which is I'll do a feeding and stuff like that in another video. But I'm super stoked about these guys, man, and I'll do a full maintenance breakdown on how I do water changes, because I actually age my tap water before doing water changes and stuff like that. But I'll make that in another video. But anyhow, I just want to do a quick breakdown of the tank, show y'all the new fish, let y'all know Chong is still here. He's thriving and happy, and I can't wait to see him in his own personal big tank, which is, that'll be in another video coming up. But anyhow, hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way, every time I drop a new video, you get notified and don't have to miss it. So anyways, I appreciate y'all, and let me know down in the comments, man, what you think of the new fish, the new skate, all of that. Just let me know what y'all think. Have a great one, y'all.